Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the CapesandLunatics. It's me, Phil. Lilith is here. Kristen is here. And we have not one, but two special guests returning to the show, Mr. Collin Kelly and Mr. Jackson Lanzing. Hello, sirs.
Hey, how are you?
We're good. Got a few things to talk to you guys about. Like I was telling you, Jackson, I guess I want to start with the last Marvel project you did. Oh, hold on. I can show this. Thunderbolts Doomstrike. So my question is it just like standard operating procedure in the Marvel office now? They're just like, hey, we have a book that has Bucky in it, so let's get Jackson and Collin on the phone right now.
Yeah, I think for the last almost 4 years now, almost 5 years, that has been the general operating procedure. That character belongs squarely in the Avengers office under the auspices of Alana Smith, who is just an excellent editor and somebody who we really trust and have had a long and I think really productive relationship with. So when it comes to Bucky, we were always kind of looking for the next story to tell. And I think the nice thing here is that it's rarely like, oh, we have a Bucky story, let's call it a hive mind. It's really been more that Collin and I had a story we wanted to tell with Bucky from, Captain America forward. And because we only got to tell a portion of that story in the pages of Captain America Sentinel of Liberty, because we sort of ended a little earlier than I think any of us had hoped, that became like that initial Thunderbolts kind of became the life raft for what was going to be that second year of Captain America stories. And that was, crunched into 4 issues because that was the year that Marvel was only approving 4-issue miniseries. So then we were doing 4 on that. And so it kind of felt like, okay, well, we're still not really getting to the closure that we wanted out of this character. And we can't really force it. So we got into a place that felt really positive, but then didn't really get to put him through the ringer on the other side of that, which felt important. So when that came out, Alana then reached out and said, hey, actually, it looks like there's going to be this great opportunity with One World Under Doom, since Ryan was sort of inspired by what you guys did in Thunderbolts World Strike number 4. That was sort of a secret origin to some of this Doom stuff. So he was like, so Bucky sort of feels like a really important part of this, and we really like to embrace that. And I think that's an opportunity to do one more run on Thunderbolts. And we sort of knew at that point our time was running out, right? You're only going to greenlight so many Thunderbolts miniseries from the same creative team before you're like, we got to do something else, or before you change the title to New Avengers. And so they were like, look, you have this one shot, you have this one last take, like let's do a version of this that leaves it all in the field and lets you tell that last Bucky story. And so, yeah, that's really where it landed. Like that by the end of this, over the course of, I counted it up, and it's I think it's at this point like something like 32 issues, or 30 issues, something like that, of Bucky in some form or another that we've managed to take this character on and tell a full story. I think you can really watch Bucky go from one status quo through a full amount of change and arc into something new that still feels familiar by the end of that story, which we call the Revolution Saga. And that has become, I think, the way that we've become kind of the Bucky guys at Marvel now. And as of last week and the release of Thunderbolts Doomstrike number 5, we are officially done. It is over. We have completed our story. We are passing that character to our very good and old friend Sam Humphries, who I'm really excited to see take him on in New Avengers with all those crazy characters. It's going to be a joy. But yeah, it's wild to sort of something we learned from like Jed McKay. It's like when they cancel you, just like get another miniseries. They cancel you, get another miniseries, and just keep telling those stories until you've told your whole story, which is basically what we did with Bucky.
I mean, Jed McKay is pretty much taken over Marvel at this point. I mean, he's on Moon Knight, he's on Avengers, he's on X-Men. I mean, the Spider-Man book. I mean, it's going to be like the 6th Infinity Stone,
and he, while he is sardonic and dry as hell, really fucking nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Really a good dude. Dry and can absolutely cut you to ribbons. But like does it with love.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy. And he's been a really great kind of, I think maybe it's probably overstating it to say that he's been a bit of a mentor for us in this, but he's been the guy who knows the most about Marvel while we've been kicking around the edges of the company for a while, and I think was very helpful in terms of helping us understand how to operate inside of that. Him and Al Ewing both, because Al as a sort of, I think as a writer that we're very similarly attuned to. Our work isn't necessarily the same, but our intentions are very similar, and our likes and dislikes are very similar, and we're friends. We get on really well. So I think like between the two of them, they've really helped us make feel like we're at home at Marvel and feel like we were able to do something there. And this whole sort of period that we've done the last few years, where the majority of our work has been at the House of Ideas, it's been a really exciting, interesting period in our creative lives. That I think has shown us for good and for ill what it's like to work inside these like giant corporate structures and trying to tell great stories inside of them, and and work with some of the best artists in the world along the way, which is a real delight.
So did you say this is your last Bucky story? I mean, never say never, but for now, this is
yeah.
Yes.
We're done with Bucky for now.
Okay.
Yep, the end of the Revolution saga is it's come to its end in a place emotionally that we're really quite happy with. Anyone who has picked up Doomstrike #5 kind of sees that we, spoiler alert, bring Cap back into his relationship. So we're able to bring full circle the kind of emotional damage that we did back in Cap #5.
Yeah, 5 and 6.
But yes, we hand him off to Sam Humphries, and you are correct. Never doesn't mean never at all. Like he's an incredible character. We like to we're kind of affectionately calling this our first Marvel age.
Because we're kind of on the way out at Marvel right now. And so that we had a big blow up there. We were doing almost 6 books a month. And that was wild. And was a great way to overextend yourself. And I think like now we've really set back in that and looked at that and said, okay, what did we learn from that? What did we like about that process? What did we not? It's wild when your dream comes true that quickly, and then you sort of just have to keep up with the dream as the dream keeps hurling rocks at you. And I think that was a really exciting and really trying few years for us. And I'm really glad we went through it. I think we've grown a lot, and I think we left behind work I'm super proud of. Between Sentinel of Liberty, Guardians of the Galaxy, Power Man Timeless, and just the Revolution saga in general, and then NYX and Giant Size, I feel like we were able to touch a lot of characters that we really love, and we're able to tell weird, interesting, and mostly character-oriented stories, which is what we always try to do, really wherever we go. So I think that, I'm very thankful for that time, and I hope that we'll be back at Marvel someday doing great work, and who knows, maybe we'll keep a book around here or there, but we're taking a little bit of a siesta from like big 2 superhero comics and letting ourselves focus on less books that we can really focus our quality meters on and try to get some more original content out, because we miss doing creator owned. We miss doing things that come from us. And we got to do a couple of those last year between Whip Wolf and Principles of Necromancy. So we're really excited to nail in some more of those and just see what else is out there for us.
I feel, before we move on, I feel like you guys may have missed an opportunity for a Simpsons joke that Bucky's from Shelbyville.
There were definitely some goofs in the office, kind of tossing these things around. But when you nuke a city, you probably want to be light. You want to be goof light.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am all about having a good Simpsons reference, but maybe not this part.
No, I will say that it was the best day in Springfield history. Shelbyville's gone. Look at that.
So once standing there.
Isotope's got no worries.
Look, and you always assumed that the nuclear plant in Springfield would be the problem, but no.
And I will repeat what we've said on other podcasts. If you are from Shelbyville, we are very sorry we destroyed your city. We swear to God it was not intentional, and we are now not making fun of the pain you might have felt when exposed to that shocking event.
Yeah, that's like. Was there multiple Shelbyvilles like in the real world in like in
Just
fiction?
like Springfield.
There's so many Springfields even just in
Yes.
fiction. Yeah, that's why people use it. 'Cause there's so many. But I do know Lilith. Lilith has been chomping at the bit, and Jackson is sure.
We
Well,
don't have to talk about it just yet. It's okay.
why?
Find some other
Why?
things
We're
to
gonna
talk
get around.
about.
Then we'll get to what else they're working on now. But no, I know Jackson said he would talk Star Trek with you even if they weren't doing Star Trek books.
Bring us your questions.
Oh, I don't have questions. I have praise. I love like I'm so glad that like they kind of like loosened it up and let you use the whole full shared universe. I'm really enjoying the lore
You had her.
of it
You
all
had her
right
at
now.
Cisco. You had her at Cisco.
Yeah, Cisco's my favorite character.
Me too.
Out of all Star Trek.
You
And
have good
he had
opinion.
the worst ending, so this has just been such a joyride for me, honestly.
We are
Well,
all
thank
in
you.
alignment. Thank you
You know,
very much.
it's it's really interesting, right? Like I love Cisco. DS9 was my show growing up, and Cisco means the world to me as a character. I think he was kind of always like the dad I wanted to have, right? Like kind of the man you want to grow into. I think he's a really incredible kind of paternal figure for a lot of people, and simultaneously is such a performance, right? He's less a like individualized character than he is like an Avery Brooks Superstorm, where he's just like trying different stuff and playing with like tone and ideas, and like he's just a great.
One of the hardest things about writing the character is, we have a very clear image of Shatner in our heads. We know how Kirk talks, but Avery Brooks, you never know. He might start laughing in the middle of a monologue, right? Like there's this unpredictable nature to him, which we really needed to kind of land in capturing Cisco's voice.
The perfect example is I still rooted for him when he gassed the planet. I don't care. He did nothing wrong. I don't care.
Well, and that's the point, right? Is that he's a really complicated character with a really complex moral compass. And so taking that character and putting him up against these like big religious ideologies and against the outcomes of his own sins and all that, it really felt like the character, regardless of how you feel about the ending, because I actually really like a lot of the parts of the ending without loving how it's actually pulled off.
Exactly.
I think it feels very rushed by the end of it, that they're like, oh, we got to get him in the wormhole, and they sort of like do that. So for us, it was a really great opportunity to say, look, like let's bring him back out. Let's give him closure on a bunch of plots. Let's give him closure on his Jake plot. Let's give him closure with Cassidy and his daughter. Let's give him closure with the Cardassians. Let's give him closure with the Federation in general. Let's give him closure with himself and with the Bajoran prophets. Like, let's take him across the whole of Star Trek and really feel like we're closing the loop on Cisco. And then, inevitably, we've got to put this guy back in the wormhole, because we have seen he's still there in Lower Decks, right? And Lower Decks is canon, and it is inviolable, so we must get back to that. And so because we knew that was coming from the get, this whole book was designed to be what happens if we give this guy one last ride and really make it count. And I'll be honest, I thought they were going to say no. I really never thought they would say yes to this book. I think we both thought this was like a wild swing, even when they asked us for it. They didn't ask us for Cisco. We came to them and said, this is the Cisco book. And I was really shocked when they were like, sure. Because really everything else felt like it was off the table at the time. And now in retrospect, I'm so thankful that we got to take this ride and got to do this character that kind of justice. He means so much to us.
And you got, nominated for the Eisner Award. I was just like, it was just like so amazing. I was just like, yeah. Glad everybody else likes it as much as I do.
That still blows my mind. That was such a beautiful thing. And and that's another thing, right? We just got done talking about how complicated it is to keep a book like this on the shelves, right? Marvel is going to greenlight you for 5 issues at a time. That is not a lot of comic book. That is enough that you can like do a concentrated effort on like one thing and try to make it work. Which for sort of ambitious, sprawling writers like Collin and I is tougher. Star Trek, when it's all said and done, between Star Trek and Star Trek Defiant and Sons of Star Trek and Day of Blood and Lore War, we're talking just on our side like 32 issues of ongoing comic, but then a series of other books that probably summarize somewhere to the vicinity of like 70, 75 issues of a original Star Trek comics line from IDW. Like crazy. Like
with
wild that exists.
with Paramount confirming that it is all canon until they decide it's not. But we worked hand in hand with them to make sure that it was all currently canon.
Okay, can you ask for more novels and you guys write the novels? Like, I'm just like, whatever petition I need to sign.
Well,
we need to get back to the Star Trek novels. That's all I'm saying.
Look, I love the novels. But,
well, Lilith, let's see. First off, everyone out there, it's probably later than Wednesday because today is Wednesday and you're in the future. Shax's Worst Day came out today, which is the lore war similar to the Eisner-nominated Shax's Best Day, which happened during Day of Blood. Shax's Worst Day happens during Lore War. It's Ryan North writing. You know, he got nominated for that Eisner. Let's go for that second Eisner, Ryan. But it's very fun to have such another opportunity to tell like a story kind of kitty corner to the seriousness of the rest of our tone, but to have something that's a little bit more levity, brings a little bit more levity, because sometimes that's what Star Trek needs.
Yeah.
Forget novels, Lilith. We need a show written by these two. Let's do the deep
from your mouth to God's ears.
I'm gonna make it more complicated. Let's do the Deep Space Nine cast and the Voyager cast. Let's go.
Dude,
Star Trek Generations, baby. I'm just saying.
My cat is being aggressive and I need to get her out.
Relatable.
We're Hollywood guys. It's where we're started. We write screenplays, we write children's animated shows for YouTube Red. We do all sorts of stuff, but in that life, we were almost on Strange New Worlds. We were, when you're at Disneyland,
we were like the last guys left on the dock.
You wait in that line, in that queue, and then you're the one right before they close the gate, and they're like, ride's closed.
Oh, we love Strange New Worlds. Oh.
Yeah, so do we.
As do we.
Dave Reed, who writes on that, and Henry, who runs it. Dave actually adapted one of our books for a TV show that never happened, but is a friend of ours and is a big fan of our work. And then Henry fell in love with our spec script and was really into it. And it was just a matter of budget and timing and the size of the crew and how it was all going to work out. And that happens when you're staffing on TV. It's not a matter of it's you need these people and that's who you get. A lot of the times it's the budget came in and we can afford this many writers, so that's who gets hired. Our friend Sarah got to work on season 1. We had a lot of friends on season 1. It was a really cool thing to see. I wish we could have been part of it, but ultimately, such is life. I'm really proud of what we got to do, and I do think that ultimately we will do a Star Trek show. It'll happen. We're doing a lot of TV.
We're manifesting for you. Just know that.
Yeah, thank you.
The exciting thing is, even though we are putting down our Star Trek kind of run now as Lore War ends, we're closing in on Star Trek Omega, which will kind of be the period on this era of Star Trek comics. We are far from done with Star Trek. And what we have on our horizon is, I'm not saying we are embargoed as hell. We are saying nothing. But what we will say is that around San Diego, we'll be saying more. And if you're looking for something that has a TV quality, more like an HBO aesthetic, something that it feels more cinematic, and that's not a weird clue. I'm not we're not taking over a JJ verse or anything, but what's coming next is going to blow your mind. I fall in love.
I think the way that I think of it here, again, without talking about what it actually is, but sort of just we're talking about our intentions with this thing. We are very much looking to the sort of inspiring work that's being done right now at Marvel on the Ultimate line, at DC on the Absolute line. Scott's an old mentor of ours. Dennis Camp is an old friend of ours. I love seeing the way that those guys are managing to break the form and do something really interesting and new inside of these tried and true things, and making it accessible for wider audiences that maybe don't give a crap about deep lore Batman, or in the interest of Martian Manhunter, who the hell reads an ongoing Martian Manhunter book? Almost nobody. Me, but almost nobody. But Absolute Martian Manhunter, you don't need to be a Martian Manhunter fan. You just need to be able to get into good comics. And this good comic is going to take you along the ride that's going to get you into Martian Manhunter. Don't worry about any continuity, anything, any of that. Let's just get you into this thing because this thing rips. What we are doing next on Star Trek is Absolute Star Trek. It is designed to be, how do we take a a reader who doesn't care about Star Trek, who doesn't know what this is, who doesn't like this, or thinks they don't like it? And how do we give them a book that is undeniable in terms of like what it is, and that it is a good freaking comic with great art and great covers and great feeling and like just like a seriousness of intent, and then happens to also be a Star Trek book? And how do we then walk them into all the shit that's great about Star Trek and make them realize how cool this thing can be? And so that's really our intention for the next thing we do. I can't wait to show what it is. I think for Star Trek fans, it's going to blow some minds because it's not like completely disconnected from Star Trek. But it is a thing that no one has touched, and I'm shocked they're letting us touch. And I think it's going to be a really, really exciting sort of arena to play in. And being able to say that we've done 2 issues of this thing already, and I know that it's good, like I've seen the 2 issues and I'm really proud of them, is like, I feel like we can start hyping this thing without saying anything about it.
The phasers are set to like, you are currently targeted. And it's
I know. The Star Trek snipers.
We get cut out. Just know.
Yeah. Oh, here comes the lawyers.
Nice. Well done.
Good.
So it's going to be something where we're just like, of course, that's brilliant. But no one's ever touched this point or time or plot, whatever.
Yep. Well, you'll see soon.
People have never thought about the Tribble Civil War, the Great War, the Tribble on Tribble conflicts. So
Star Trek Tribbles coming to San Diego Comic-Con.
It's bloody.
They did look like vicious little furballs. Never
vicious
trust a
little
furball. You can't see their teeth, you know? Just saying.
When the Klingons are that afraid of something, you know they've got to have a secret teeth. Like there's,
you know, they got secret teeth.
Well, speaking of adaptation, I remember hearing way back when that Brandon Sanderson's Dark One was supposed to be a trilogy, but it's 2025, and
Yep. Ask Brandon. We have no idea. We have no idea. I wish I could.
He's
I wish
the
I
person
could
I'm
tell
supposed
you.
to be yelling at. Okay, I got it.
We've submitted outlines for the other 2. We were supposed to do them years ago. I genuinely have no idea what's going on with that. I wish I could tell you.
That's such a bummer. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Very much. The second volume the second volume builds the world in this absolutely incredible way. The second volume is so fucking cool. And God bless Brandon. He's a busy man. Right about when we sent it in was right about when he launched the world's most successful Kickstarter of all time. So his attention kind of got split, I imagine. But hey, Brandon, you hearing this? Give us a call. We're down
Again, I'm just out here manifesting stuff. I'm like, where is it?
Collin and Jackson are like, come on, you can't work on 6 things at once.
I mean, this industry, you almost have to nowadays.
We are the absolute worst. We're like, we'll work on nothing, and then, I mean, we loved it. No.
That's not, I disagree with this narrative. We actually are very good at cutting down our work and have in fact cut down our work.
Yes.
I think it's unfortunate because I do wish that we could be doing, that we could have done those books, but now I don't know when we would do them. Like that was sort of a period of time when that made a lot of sense for us. Now I don't know that that's true. So I think, hopefully someday those stories get told. I don't know if it's going to be us who tell them. If it is, I would love that, but it would have to make the right kind of sense for everybody. In the meantime, I think we're really focusing on, I think for lack of a better term, like that's Brandon Sanderson's Dark One written by us. X-Men written by us. Guardians of the Galaxy written by us, right? It's like big things, and then like we're down here in the corner, like trying to hang on to the side of the giant whale. We're trying to become the whale. Like we need to do that now, or what are we doing? We can't just kind of be like holding onto this ship forever. So our hope is the next things we do start to make a little bit more of a play for the idea that like, hey, we're worth buying outright. We're worth doing on our own without putting Brandon's name above our masthead,
Totally.
And then in time, I would love to come back.
We are.
I was going to ask, yeah.
Are you going to like the Kickstarter route? Can you talk about it first of all?
Sure. We can't talk about the book yet.
But just like the way that you're going to Kickstarter, are you going to go more
no,
like how Frank Miller did?
We've got a few irons in the fire. But what we will say is that the Kickstarter, the experiences we've had with Kickstarter is not. It's a complicated platform to do really well, and requires a lot more effort than anyone might actually imagine.
We know a few
it's
people who do.
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And we
And
have
then
a
some.
full-time job already.
Yeah, I have a friend who does all of his books through Kickstarter and produces incredible looking books. Right, Trevor Fernandez Linkwitz does just awesome work on Kickstarter, and I love what he manages. And I'm a big fan. I could not do what he does. I don't want to operate that way. We did Whiff Wolf, and we were so slammed that we offloaded production to our publisher, and that delayed the book almost a year. It's just not a process we prefer to be involved in if we can avoid it. I think we just kind of learned our lesson out of Whiff Wolf. As much as we loved that book, it was a really, really hard process. And so what we're really interested in now is taking these books to editors we love at publishers we love and making great content through those publishers. If you
You've
look
been
at
all over the place, so everybody.
Exactly.
Literally.
So
wait, have you done? I can't remember. Dark Horse, I think, is the only one you haven't.
we did a Tomb Raider book with Dark Horse back in the day. We haven't worked with them. We haven't worked with them since. We've had some talks, and it's very possible that we'll end up there with something. Because I love Dark Horse, and frankly, I just love what they've done.
Yeah, they
with
just
Hellboy over
came.
the years.
They're just coming into a really good boom of a lot of new books. I really just rediscovered Dark Horse.
Yeah, they're great. So hopefully that we're definitely going to be cooking up something at IDW. We're going to be cooking up something at Image. That's a longer lead, but it's something that we have been actually building for like several years. That I think is going to be really worth somebody's time when we get there. We're talking to a lot of people and kind of trying to make that stuff happen, but try not to do it all at once. We're really a lot of our efforts right now are, if I'm being honest, outside of comics. We're doing a TV show. We have a movie that's going. We're working on a video game that we can't talk about. Like there's a sort of extraordinary amount of work we're doing outside of that space. Our second volume of our young adult novel, Thor Quest, is coming out next year. With all of those things, or I guess this year.
What is time?
What is time? So all of those things take a lot of effort and a lot of time, and in building those things out and making sure that they're as good as they could be, that means that comics just necessarily, by nature of how quick they have to be produced and how little money they actually put in your pocket, have to be like scheduled against that. And that's part of why we started dialing back. Was we ended up working on this show last year, Twilight of the Gods, that we were on the second season, and then season 2 got canceled. So that was what it was. But it was a great opportunity for us, and it was a great TV gig. We got to work with some great people, and it was a blast. And coming out of that process, I think it's been a really lovely sort of reshaping of what we wanted to do. We came out to Hollywood to be filmmakers. We spent a long time exclusively
like so many comic
doing
book people,
comics.
actually.
We love comics. I mean, we are comic people who met through comics. We are deeply into comics, and we will never leave that medium. But I think one of the things that we've discovered is that we really want to play in other mediums, and we want to give that stuff the time of day so that we can do it. And so right now we're really splitting between these mediums and discovering the things that we like about them, and then really trying to focus up so that every comic is a comic we absolutely had to make, not a comic we made because Marvel put an incredible offer in front of us, which I think is sort of how our for the last few years our industry has worked.
Incredible character offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be clear. Nobody makes money in comics. That's not the kind of offer I'm talking about.
I've never heard one person who's making money in comics.
No, nobody. Maybe John Hickman somehow.
And I'm sure the CEO is.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Marvel? Yeah, I bet he's
No, that was going to be one of the questions I asked you. I don't know if you can answer this or you know the answer, but it seems like everyone's doing multiple books. At least there's 2 of you. I've personally talked to people like Erica Schultz who were doing like 6 books at a time. She was like, "Oh, my sweet spot's like 3 or 4. I'm doing 6 books this month." And why is that? Is that just that they don't want to take a chance on new people and they just like go with the trusted people like you guys and everyone out, Jed and then Erica and everyone they have right now?
That's a
risk averse, my friend. It is at the end of the day a huge corporation.
I think it has. I'd argue that there are like 2 evident reasons for that. The first is once you're in, you're in. And once you've proven some kind of sales potential, then they like to look at you for other books. So Kang sold well, so we got a chance at Cap. Cap sold well, so we got a chance at Guardians. Guardians sold well initially and then not so much after that. And so that gave us a chance to get Timeless. Timeless sold well, which gets us Power Man Timeless. Power Man Timeless doesn't sell a single copy anywhere and gets canceled at 4 issues rather than 5. So, that's us falling on our face in front of Marvel. They're not going to be likely to offer us anything anytime soon, right? We just face planted on a book. Well, I love that book. I think it's a beautiful book, but the sales don't really bear that through. So we're probably going to get less offers, right? That's sort of how these things work. You're riding a sales number and you're riding a trust. And so the degree to which your sales and your trust sit together, I think creates a combination for them where they're like, okay, if we trust this person, but we don't think that they're going to get a lot of sales, then we're not going to make a lot of offers. If we trust this person and we know they're going to make a sale, then hell yeah, let's pop those offers off because we know that we can trust them and we know that they're in cycle. And then I think you're going to have those new talents, those people who are just getting in and they're going to get their one book and then they're going to try their way up, right?
I think at all times, it's really about that editorial relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like editors, obviously we got kind of 2 tiers. We got the 800-pound gorillas and then we've got the working class editors, right? And all those assistant editors, those younger editors, all they want to do is uplift new talent.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, Marvel in the House of Ideas, the gears work fast and hard. There's a lot of grinding, right? And so if you're an editor and you have a book and you need that book to go, you've got to rely on, like, one of the reasons people love working with us, we're never fucking late.
Yeah.
Never late, right? So it's like sometimes you just need people who can get the job done and they can get the job done. So it's not even like, oh, we're risk averse financially. Sometimes it's just like, bro, I have 17 books that need to get done this month. And I need someone who I know can turn around a script in 4 days.
I think the trick to that is that nobody wants to be that writer. I don't want to be that writer. I don't want to turn around a book in 7 days and think, oh, I did okay on it. I want to look at every book I do and go, that's the best book I've ever written, But that's a very hard thing to do when you are inside of a big 2 grind, because especially if you're doing multiple books at a time, because that means you're turning around basically a script a week, right? Script a week. And then maybe you get a chance at revision. And then maybe you get, and maybe you can pull yourself out of whatever hole you put in because you made a decision in week 1 that didn't necessarily play itself out in week 2. I think that's one of the things that we're really loving about right now is we're writing one book. We're just writing that Star Trek thing we were talking about. And that means that every issue of that gets to go through weeks of thought and effort and interest. And of course, you're going to get better work out of that than you do out of trying to push something out in a week. It's just fundamentally the same. So I think that part of that process, while yes, Colin's right, that is exactly how it works. I don't necessarily think that's the greatest place for creators to be in sometimes, because it creates a process by which you just got to make the donuts, and I understand to some degree the honor of making the donuts. I'm really proud to have made the donuts. But at some point or another, you're like, man, I sure am making donuts and not making a 5-course meal that I'm really proud to serve to somebody. And so that's, I think, the thing that we're looking to do now is we're trying to go from making a sandwich to being the bear, to use the easy reference point. And I think that's harder to do at Marvel. It's not impossible. Dude, John Hickman makes it look easy. I don't understand how he does it. I really don't. It is incredible. I think maybe it's because he does one book at a time.
Yeah,
and that's
oh yeah,
and that's how it works.
And
that's really my other point in this. If we're being blunt about it, right? Which I guess we're being blunt. So
I guess we're being blunt about it.
Yeah,
please.
The other reason why somebody like Erica or us does 5 or 6 books at a time is because that is what pays you a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
A standard Marvel comic book pays you generally less than $100 a page for a $20 or for a 20-page book. So, lensing that to a number, you can look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm making X $1,000 off of one book. That's probably if you're living in a major city like New York or LA, or really almost anywhere in America right now. That's not a living wage. That's not enough to pay your rent, pay your healthcare, pay for food, do any of the things that you need to do to keep the lights on in your home. So what you do is you stack books.
Oh yeah.
And especially when there's two of us, because Collin and I split a paycheck.
Yeah.
So whatever that number is, it's half that number for us.
And we're not, and we are well out of our ramen days. We are married men with many fur babies and even non-fur.
Collin is an actual baby.
I have an actual baby. Like, my baby gotta eat, and he ain't eating on one comic.
Yeah. So you have to stack. If that's where your primary income is coming from, there simply is no other choice, because the living wage for a single comic book for most people in this industry is not a living wage. And so you sort of have a choice. You either don't do that work or you do a lot of that work. But if you only do one bit of that work has to either pay you really great, or you need to have other sources of income. And right now, Collin and I fortunately have other sources of income. So that allows us to look at comics as a thing that we can do because we love it, not because we're relying desperately on the paycheck.
I mean, gentlemen, we have talked to, I won't throw him under the bus, little face, certain gentlemen who wrote comics in the 90s and who recently did a miniseries. He said he was getting the same rate today, like now, that he was getting in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks, like being an adjunct professor.
Honestly, I think it's actually very similar. Collin was an adjunct professor. I think he can speak to that.
I am an adjunct professor. I teach locally.
Oh.
So yes, it's hot trash. It's garbage.
Another meat grinder, the education system.
Lots of similarities here. Yes, Kristen, is that your title, adjunct professor? Nah.
No, I actually do get a real wage. I'm full time.
Wow. But really walked right into that buzzsaw. That was great.
But you did go to USC, so.
Oh. Well, hey, fight on. Same here. But
yes,
exactly.
I saw on your Wikipedia that you met there.
I am currently an adjunct professor there, and we are fighting tooth and nail to start an adjunct union, which is it's a great time to be trying to unionize, my guys. Trust me.
I'm sure.
Especially at a private university. It's going great.
Yes.
Manifesting for you.
Thank you. Yeah, but let's not talk about unions. Otherwise, we'll totally derail everything.
We'll get demonetized. I think that's one of those, like a job. It's a bad word now.
Yeah.
Man, it's almost like we need a revolution.
Oh!
Wow. Lovely you did there.
What, you mean Disney didn't trademark that name?
I invented that.
So,
as old as everybody is, we could really use some principles of necromancy.
Hey!
Nice, good, nice. Which was just absolutely one of our favorite books to do last year.
Fun ride.
Yep. It was a great time. I hope we get to do more someday. We all want to do it, so I hope it all works out sometime.
So is there anything
upcoming? Did you do much research into necromancy?
I mean, no, because the premise.
You're missing out. It's good stuff.
I'm sure what we had to do research into was medieval medicine. That's what we had to do research into. Because that book is all about medieval medicine. So that was a blast to get to do, but definitely meant that I know a lot more grody, weird medical facts than I
Not
used
just
to.
leeches.
For sure.
Tapeworms.
It weren't just leeches.
The fun thing is I've been mainlining ER, so my head is just absolutely full of all sorts of medical.
You have to watch The Pit. That's what all my doctor friends.
Dude, why did you think he started watching ER? My man watched The Pit and then was like, I need more.
You're going backwards. Okay.
I know I'm getting the prequel. I'm watching the
literally
prequel, ER, The Pit Year One. Also
another good medical show based in Pittsburgh. Believe it or not, Watson on CBS.
Our friend Jason's on Watson. I hear it's great. I'm really excited.
It is really great.
My point being, the real star of the Principles of Necromancy Weirdness team was Eamon Winkle, not just because his art was so incredible, but because he was a dental assistant. So all of the
now that is medieval medicine in modern day.
All of the weird tools that you find, all this macabre, gross hooks and stabbing, it's all just normal dental shit. It's all just dental tools.
Going to dental school in September, so yeah, I agree.
Oh, get those teeth.
Yeah, that was a joy.
Shmoney.
so she can
They had some medical skills in the Middle Ages.
Oh yeah, that's what
did.
Kristen gets paid real money for. Medieval history, yes.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
rather trust a butcher than a medieval doctor.
Well, that it would be
I mean,
the barber.
difference.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, Kristen. We should
I'll check
hang
it out.
We should just hang out and bullshit about medieval medicine techniques.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm gonna check out this. What's it?
Called
Principles of Necromancy?
The Principles of Necromancy. Yeah, check it out.
Okay.
It's like 4 issues.
Yeah, it's 4 issues.
Only
It's from
4?
Magma.
And it's you should be able to find it pretty easy. It came out last year.
It's
Okay.
out in trade from Magma. Eamon got up for the Russ Manning Award at the Eisners for it. It was a beautiful book. I'm really very happy we got to do it. Does not take place in our world, but so it's not historically accurate, but it is inspired by our world, and thus is historically inspired.
It puts gore, as Eamon likes to say, it puts the gore in gorgeous.
Does he like to say that, or do you like to say that about him?
He said it once, and I've been repeating it.
He put it on a T-shirt for him.
Yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
carve it on his tombstone.
Yeah.
So not to backtrack too much, but you guys were talking to about the schedule, working for the big 2. So do the smaller, the companies who aren't Marvel and DC, do they give you more lead time, or?
No, not necessarily. Really depends on the book. Always depends on the book. So if something like Principles, we pull we create the schedule for that. So because that's creator owned. So we're gonna really it all comes down to ownership. All this stuff comes down to ownership. Do you own your thing? Then you can make it at your pace with your operation the way that you want. We go back to first steps with James Tynion, right? James Tynion has now made, I think, a really evident point in the industry with Tiny Onion and with his books about what happens when you walk away from the big 2 and instead of giving them all of your ideas, own your ideas and build something around you that can protect you. He doesn't just have himself. He has a company. He has an incredible marketing director. He has an incredible editor. He has an incredible series of people around him who are all working to create great material with him and back up his plays so that he can build the books he wants to make rather than trying to build the books that somebody else wants to make. And so I think when you own something, obviously you just have the ability to do that. When you're working for somebody else, they set the schedule. What I love about Star Trek, what I will say is that Star Trek, Heather Antos, the editor on that line, who's for my money, she's just the greatest editor in comics. I just think she's incredible. Heather is really brilliant at working on these IP things, but making them feel creator-owned. She takes your ideas into account for the artist. She talks to you about how you want the book to be presented. You are engaged with her on everything from logo to cover design to how many pages you have. When we decided we needed data pages in that book with less than 30 days to go before the book was on shelves, it was about to go to press, and we were like, actually, I think this needs this. And we did it at the last minute, and she made it happen.
Yep.
And it became a staple of all the books because she opened up that line. Heather is sort of a magician at taking these things and making them feel like they belong to you, even though they don't. And part of that comes down to schedule. She schedules in a way that she's like, here's your schedule. We're going to get well ahead of it. The book that we're doing right now, we started working on so many months ahead of schedule that we're never stressed about it. We're never sitting there being like, oh God, the book's got to get in, because we started with so much lead time that now the book, we're just cooking. We're cooking it. And we don't have to worry about is it going to be good? We just need to worry about whether the meal itself is going to be good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But to the question there, it's well, I think the big 2 just produces, Marvel specifically produces so much more, right?
Yes.
I think the editors there are also wonderful, but I think Heather she still produces an ungodly amount, but because she just has that lead time to space it out as she desires, she has a lot of trust over there. And I think it really shows in the kind of work that she does.
So what you're saying is the editors are as overworked as you guys are.
I don't think anybody is as overworked as the editors. We're not as overworked as the editors. The editors are the most overworked people in comics, for sure.
Yep. That's why whenever one of them is around and we happen to be doing a signing, we're like, get your ass in here, sign these books. Like, it always irritates me. It's like, if you're editors should be signing just as much as creators. Like, they are part of the team. They are the team. Yeah, that's a different soapbox.
So what have we learned? You have a bunch of new projects coming out that you can't talk about, which is a exciting success, because I swear any writer we talk to who's like, yeah, I have all these projects coming out, but I can't.
And then a couple I can't talk about.
Yeah. And
look, the only thing we can really talk about right now is Giant Size X-Men. You know, Giant Size X-Men just dropped. We're getting to do this 5-issue sort of event miniseries where we get to take Kamala Khan through all of X-Men history, starting in Giant Size X-Men #1, then through Dark Phoenix Saga, Age of Apocalypse, House of M, and then finally back to our world. And getting to do that story as sort of our like swan song at Marvel for now has just been beautiful. It's been such a wonderful experience. I think it's been a great time to sort of luxuriate in the character and in the history, to get to work with some of the best artists in the industry. It's Adam Kubert, and Rod Reese, like painting, and C.F. Villa and Francesco Manno. Like, these are incredible people. Getting to do a book that pays tribute to so many artists and writers that we love, while also engaging with, I think, a really vital story about Kamala Khan growing into her sort of mutantum, as it were. I think it's been a real joy and a real pleasure to get to do. And so that book, you know, that's where we live. That's the core story that's out there from us right now. It's really the only book out there from us right now, other than the wrap up on Star Trek, and will be for a little bit. You know, I think after Giant Size is done, we're going to be taking a short break. I don't think you're going to see any comics on the shelves from us for the first time in a long time. There won't be any books from us on shelves for most of the fall. It won't be until we launch this next book, sort of in late fall, early winter, I think is when it's popping, that we'll be back in. So it's been kind of wild to like get to end with something this grand and universe spanning. It's been a trip.
So did someone come to you and ask you to write the Kamala Khan story, or did you just fall in love with the character from NYX?
Oh, well, from the very start, actually, of NYX, that has its own kind of interesting history, but the core of it was us walking in saying, we want Kamala Khan. We love this character. She is incredibly interesting. It sounds like in this new age, this post-Krakoan age, people are really looking at, we need to analyze, we need to look at what it means to be a mutant. And that's really what Kamala in every way kind of symbolized. Being able to take her into NYX was really key to, for example, why that story was set in New York City, right? Because Kamala will not leave the East Coast. But once we kind of told that story there, people who are reading our NYX kind of will notice that, like, this is it ends Kamala on a little bit of a down note. She's seen what it means to be a mutant. She's seen the mutant community around him, how much pride, how much energy, how much passion there is. And after seeing kind of all of this, she has to ask herself, like, is this her? Is her mutantdom going to be something that defines her, or is she tied to something greater? Is her family the most important thing to her? You know, where is her allegiance really going to lie? And that's the kind of moment of question, that kind of Passion of the Christ style analysis of who you truly are that starts our Giant Size story. So when it came to who is going to be the lead of this, I mean, that was always been the plan. Yeah. And frankly, that plan came to us through Tom Brevoort.
Tom came to us saying, hey, look, we have this incredible moment in history. We have the 50-year anniversary of Giant Size X-Men. We have the 45th anniversary of the Dark Phoenix Saga. We have the 30th anniversary of Age of Apocalypse. We have the 20th anniversary of House of M. These are big round numbers on each of these events. Let's do a story that embraces all of them. And since Kamala is the newest mutant, because she has recently come into this power, and because she came into that power before we ever got there, you know what I mean? That wasn't like we came in and we were like, let's make Kamala Khan a mutant. Absolutely not. We came in after she'd been a mutant and said, how do we make this the best possible story? How do we really lean into this and give Kamala, a character that we've loved since issue 1, a true trajectory as a mutant? And NYX was the first step of that, and Giant Size is the second. Giant Size came to us through Tom, but it came to us through Tom because we were doing great work with the character on NYX, and he trusted us to do this. And that's really where this book came from. It was a real joy. And obviously, when somebody says, hey, do you want to do a book that Adam Kubert is drawing? You say yes. Like, you could be like, hey, will you write the phone book? And I would write it for Adam Kubert.
We had just started to be like, maybe we should be doing our less books. And then it was like, Schmidt. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, sure. Golden handcuffs.
And not just Adam Kubert. It's like Adam Kubert drawing the X-Men. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what you're going to say no to that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're going to do that and you're going to like it. Damn it. Which we did, and which was a joy. I mean, I really think
we did like it, damn it. And I think the first issue, internet seems to be enjoying it as well. So I'm glad that it's out there in the world, and I'm excited for people to see where the next stories go. It is coming out every 2 weeks. So, if you picked up issue 1, be sure to tell your retailer you got to have that issue 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Even though they're all number ones.
They're all number ones. I swear to God, it's going to kill me. Yes, they're all number ones, but they are the same giant
off my
size.
OCD a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, you and me both. But Giant Size, I think each book is a really great deep dive into the event. It's a great deep dive into character. Seeing Kamala interact with Scott in the early days of the X-Men, interact with Jean during her hardest moments, interact with Rogue in the Age of Apocalypse, interact with Kitty in the aftermath of House of M, and through Decimation. I think it's all going to make for a really exciting retrospective of X-Men history. But much more importantly to me, I think it acts as a great repositioning of Kamala within the line and a great sort of Christmas Carol style story for her as she sees what she could be, sees what she has become, and starts to look forward towards what being an X-Man means to her. And I can't wait to see what that does. I don't know what they're doing with the character after us. I genuinely no idea. So I can't wait to see where this sets her up to go. I think we put her on really good footing, and now it's going to be somebody else's turn to take that character and make sure that she shines there. And I know I'll be reading. I have every issue of this character's publishing run. I love Kamala Khan, so I can't wait to see what they do.
Nice.
Before we let them go, I just want to pitch a story. Whenever you get back to DC, since you did Clayface One Bad Day, we just need all the Clayfaces, like a Clayface gang. And I'm just going to leave the story to you, but that's the idea. Is all the Clayfaces come together and they make a gang, and they're tired of not being taken seriously.
Are they
Lilith?
Are they the Mudmen?
Oh God!
Mud people.
The Clay crew?
Because there is a Clay lady.
I was gonna go with pottery class.
Oh, pottery burn.
Pottery
They're out of business, so I think the trademark's open. So
their headquarters is the Kiln. This is cool. This is cool. This works.
Lilith, I do have, if Clayface is your man, a while back we did this series called Gotham City Garage.
Oh, yep, I got it.
Oh,
and I got all the toys from Gotham City Garage that you guys are inspired by too.
So you of course know about Clayface the Living Canyon.
Exactly.
Oh, Lilith,
that's what I'm saying.
You guys need more Clayface from you guys.
You know what? We're gonna steal her. Lilith, would you like a job? I feel like
I'm a great executive assistant. I come with a fantastic resume, actually.
That sounds incredible.
I will say, I don't think I would be loath to ever touch Clayface as a character ever again, because I'm so proud of Clayface One Bad Day. I really do think it's the best thing we've ever written, and I'm like,
Elseworld tale, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying all the Clayfaces need that touch. I'm just saying all the other Clayfaces get so overlooked.
I agree.
It's on my manifesting list.
That's what's great about that character. I completely agree.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you. Whenever you're ready to announce whatever project you're working on, please shoot me. You have my email. Shoot me an email. We will. If you want to come on, we will make it happen. We can
I would
talk
love that.
about whatever's coming next. And if you guys want, Lilith, I'm pretty sure we were saying we want to at least do an episode on at least the premiere of Strange New Worlds. If you boys want to come back and talk some Strange New Worlds premieres.
Yeah. All right.
I'm like so thirsty. It feels like it's been so long since that show came out. I'm chomping at the bit.
It has. Feels like it's been a million years. I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
I hope Christopher Pike's hair gets taller.
That's what I was gonna say. That's why you guys didn't get in, because the last person they let in was Anson Mount's hair person.
Clog the drain.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. You know what? When you're right, you're right.
That's really fun.
That's what puts him in that chair, man. That hair just, I don't know, it's like snaps his neck or something.
Oh, no.
That's,
Boo, boo.
Boo, Phil.
I know.
Wait, I want to know because they popped up. What are your cats' names?
This is Lenny. She's making all of the fuss. It's time for her to get fed, and she's very mad I haven't fed her yet.
Yeah.
Her full name is Olenna, like the character from Game of Thrones, like the old woman who does all the murders. So Olenna.
Is that the
narrows it
Cersei I
down.
want her to know it was me, lady?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's Olenna, and then we call her Lenny for short, which is actually not short for Olenna, but rather the other name we wanted to give her, which was Lenny, which is the Aubrey Plaza character on Legion, who's secretly Shadow King.
Oh, yeah.
So we call her Olenna Shadow King. That's her full name. But she's just Lenny, and she's
You gonna
decided
tell him
that
your
she's no
cat's
longer
name?
I've got Dr. Indiana Jones. He's an orange. He's a ginger boy with a single brain
Oh,
cell.
you
in
got
his
an
head.
orange cat activity.
And
Also an adjunct professor.
Yes,
this-
professor of sitting around.
yeah, professor of eating fucking plastic. And this is Rhaego, this is Rhaego, the kite who mounts the world, and he is my terrorist. I love him. He's my
He's a
old boy.
beast. He's a beast. He's a monster.
I have two 15-pounders.
Chunky
Wild.
boys.
Real
Wild.
chunky boys. But thank you for asking, Kristen. Not enough people ask us about our cats. And if there's one thing that is true about the hive mind, it is that we are two cat daddies.
But
Well, I saw Lenny doing her thing, and then I saw the orange tail pop up. I was like, oh yeah, another cat.
Yeah,
What's your
Do you
cat's
have
name? I
Nightwing
saw that black tail kicking around.
My cat's name is Nightwing.
Oh, perfect. Good. No notes. Love it. That's cat.
Her favorite comic character, Dick Grayson. Yes.
One
Look at
of
that
ours
cup.
too.
Look at the cup.
We wrote a Dick Grayson story that'll never see the light of day. It's somewhere in the DC offices is sitting around like a 48 page.
it's in the vault.
Oh yeah, there's like a
Yeah,
48 page fully drawn comic that we wrote with Grant Morrison that will never ever get published.
Why?
I ask DC. I don't know.
Oh, I will.
If I ever see them,
It's drawn-
actually, before you
Which
go,
editor
can
do I
ask
need to make a letter to?
No,
Can I ask real
no. None of that.
Since you mentioned the vault, I actually just read after Phil. I reread after Phil said it was you guys because I don't always pay attention to who's coming on the show. And then I reread your story that was like saved from the vault, the Nightwing story. But I was gonna ask. Like, I assume that you wrote that like specifically for that. It wasn't actually in a vault.
Yeah, no, we so
No, it was
what they
vaulted. Yeah.
it was in fact vaulted. Yeah, that was a story we wrote. So last story of the podcast, DC Comics, all these comics companies, they produce something called inventory issues. Sometimes inventory issues are basically issues of comics that you have written and drawn and ready to go when the main writer of the book is late. You can then publish, or the artist is late or whatever. You need a fill-in issue. You can publish this issue and buy your book a month of time. There was an editor at DC for a while named Dave Wielgos. He's responsible for the One Bad Day line. He's responsible for Batman Beyond Neo Year. He's responsible for a good portion of our work at DC Comics. Dave was kind of our guy there. He left last year. Dave's amazing. I love him to death. He's actually a really great writer. That's why he left. The fool. And I think that there was a period there where he was given the reins to a bunch of inventory issues. And he hired us for a bunch of them. He had us do 2 inventories on Nightwing. He had us do an inventory on Batman. And he had us do a 2-part inventory on Flash. And we ended up... Hold on 1 second.
Dave was in a world of editors who are overworked. Dave was so good at his job that they gave him like, hey, can you make a bunch of extras because you have time on your hands? Like the man was an absolute beast. But yeah, we wrote these 2 issues. They went in as inventory issues. They never saw the light of day until years later when la-di-da, they were needed.
Nightwing. We had 1 issue of Nightwing that actually came out in Nightwing.
Yeah.
I think it was Nightwing 42. But it was an issue structured entirely with Jorge Corona, structured entirely like a kabuki play. So we learned how kabuki structure worked, and then did a book built inside that structure. So how much we could bend comic books towards kabuki structure, which was a trip. It was really fun. I'm really proud of that book. Technically, it canonically gives the Batcave its own dragon who just like hangs out underneath the Batcave with the Bat Cow and the Bat Dog. They've never come back to it. I don't know why Tom King didn't use that. That's on Tom.
Tom.
What a fool!
Dragons are so in right now.
Yeah,
That's a missed opportunity for sure.
So we did that issue, and then we did a Batman issue with Kelly Jones that ended up actually being a stealth prequel for our Batman Beyond series, Neo Gothic, and got published in Batman Urban Legends many years later. Then From the Vault got that other issue out, which was a joy. The Free Fall issue, which is just 20 pages of Dick Grayson diving out of a space station and trying to land. It was great. And then again with Jorge Corona. And then our last thing was this Flash issue that never fully got drawn. We were doing it with Giuseppe Camuncoli, and then I think he got busy, and it just never ended up happening. But it was a fun little, it was like sort of our first shot at like playing with the Flash. He's a very complicated character, somebody we'd really love to do something with someday. But I think whatever we do with Flash is going to have to be very different than what is traditionally done with
Which Flash
that character.
would you
you
prefer to work with?
Oh God. Like, look, it was a Barry story. I'm a Wally guy. I grew up on Wally. I find Barry really difficult. But at the same time, I think we do actually have a take on Barry that I think is really interesting, and I'm excited to do it someday. So who knows? Maybe. I had a conversation at Comic-Con last year with Tom Taylor where he tried, I think he, and I'm not trying to call Tom out on anything, but like I think he sort of told me the line that I think a lot of people believe, which is like, there's nothing really special about Barry. He's just kind of boring. And I know. And I made I think a really impassioned argument for why I disagreed with that. And he looked at me like I was an idiot until I said one thing. I had this one thing that I was like, it's this. And he was like, okay, that's good. And I was like, okay.
And to be fair, they did let him disappear for 30 years. To be fair.
So someday I would love to come and take that thing I said that I'm not going to tell you here and put it in the comics because I do think Barry is an interesting character, and I think you just have to characterize him correctly.
Just give them a mini-series. Do a Generations thing. Start with Jay Garrick and just, do them all.
That's the thing. Too many great people have done these characters. I at a certain point, that's one of those things Giant Size really reminds you is like, at a certain point, you're playing in a continuity of so many incredible people that trying to tell new stories inside that framework becomes exponentially harder every year. And I think like there's new territory, man. It's time for new Flashes.
So when they took your story out of the vault, did you get paid again?
Oh no!
Oh, sweet summer child.
Of course. No, but we do. But you do get paid royalties. DC pays you royalties, which is great. I mean, Marvel pays you royalties too, but there's sales incentives. DC actually gives you direct royalties on the sales of your books, which is excellent.
So I've never found that line item, but we might have.
So yeah, how does that work with the apps? Like, if I go back and read it 5 more times, will that give you like another?
No, the app pays us nothing. The apps pay us nothing. If you're trying to support comics creators, you have to buy physical copies. Digital sales don't mean anything. So you have to. You don't even
get a royalty on like comics stuff. What?
Absolutely not.
I'm devastated. I'm absolutely devastated.
Because those sales don't report. So, like, even if those sales did report, and even if the companies knew all of their digital sales, right? They still like, it's still like going through Amazon. It's like a whole process. Amazon's not going to release its numbers. Like, that's just not going to happen. So that's kind of a black box for them. We certainly don't see numbers out of the subscription models, the DC Universe Infinites or the Marvel Unlimiteds of the world. Not at all. Those are direct money to the people, but that's not giving us any royalties. And people who write those Infinite comics don't get royalties at all because those books legitimately are only on digital platforms, so they have no way of receiving royalties. Royalties are only built on physical units, and the success of a book is only determined by physical units. So if a book doesn't sell physical units, it is not successful. That's like a fundamental about the comics industry that isn't very good.
In 2025, that's
Yeah.
wild.
It's
So in
not
digital-
how things should be, but it is how
So
things are.
So a
It's not-
digital
Duly
comic
noted.
doesn't count like an ebook.
Ebooks don't provide the same kind of royalties that physical books do.
We've
As
never,
I understand. Maybe
for-
somebody can correct me, and maybe I've been misreading
you're
my
right.
royalty statement, but I do not think I'm right. I
yeah,
don't
we've
think I'm wrong
never
about that.
seen that on our royalty statement. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's certainly not on ours.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
So when they're
Sad,
looking
sad fucking face. Mhm.
Yeah, big time.
when they're looking at the health of a book, is it all like pre-sales of physical books then, or pre-orders of physical books? Is that what they go by?
Pre-orders.
Yeah.
Pre-orders of physical floppy books. That is
See,
the way
I'm
that
not the
you
only
support.
one that calls them floppies, Phil. See,
I didn't say anything.
So
That
if
is
I
the way
want
you
you to
support-
get money for this Principles of
That is-
Diplomacy, I have to
that-
buy paper copy.
You have to buy physical paper copies from a physical paper comic book store. That is what you have to do. You have to go to a comic book store, or you have to order from that comic book store. You have to get physical copies. That is the way to support comics. I wish it wasn't, but it
Yeah.
is.
Everyone,
That's
we
how
all
it
look
functions.
around and we're like, man, that's a pain in the ass. It's like, yeah.
now if you're
So
a real
yeah.
comic book nerd, you got your local comic book shop or 3. I support 3 personally.
Yeah. there you
That's
go.
my thing. I love my local comic shops.
You just make
I'm not-
make it a habit.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I don't think it's a good thing for me. I love it as a process. I love going to the comic book shop and getting my comics. But I'm not the entire American and international population. There are so many people who don't even know they live near a comic book shop, let alone people who don't live anywhere near a comic shop,
Yeah.
who don't have access to that part of the market and thus can't support the books they want to support inside that market. So that's the thing I hope we can change. I don't know who's going to change that. I'm certainly not the guy to change it, but somebody needs to change that. Somebody needs to find a way to make this marketplace work, or we need to find a way to like get brick and mortar comic book shops to be like 10 times more popular. One way or the other. We really have to figure this out.
Or just
Phil,
get
can you fix this for us, please?
I'll-
Yeah.
You know
Capes-
what? By
Capes
the
and
time you
Lunatics-
come on the podcast again, we'll have it solved.
Yeah, Capes and Lunatics, we're putting this on you. This is your homework. When we come back and talk about Star Trek, you have to pitch us how we're going to fix the comics industry. Cool?
Okay, we got a powwow
All right,
on
sick.
Zoom, Phil.
Nice. Glad.
Oh, I mean, they just need the distribution needs to be like it was back in the day. I know I'm an old man, but we need
Nobody has
newsstands,
newsstands anymore.
spinner
Phil.
racks, and like grocery stores and convenience stores. Yeah,
Spinner racks at grocery stores. I love you. Yes, that's exactly what we should have. I completely agree.
what we used to
So
have.
wait, what about
Well,
it?
come to
What about a
Florida
trade?
and go to a Publix.
What about a trade paperback? Do you get money from that?
We do see money from trade paperbacks, but trade paperbacks don't count towards the success of a book because a book has already been canceled by the time that the trade paperback comes out or is solicited. So if you think about like a book like NYX, right? NYX is the success of NYX is determined by let's use Power Man Timeless because it's a much better example because NYX sold really well. We were top 10 book for most weeks that book came out. So that book really only got canceled because they were kind of cleaning house of the whole line. We just happened to be one of the first, to go. 10 issues is a long time at Marvel.
Yeah, we were happy. We love it.
Yeah, very happy with it. It's totally fine. Power Man Timeless is a different example. Power Man Timeless is a book that, when it goes to pre-orders, it doesn't do very well in pre-orders. Retailers don't really know what to make of it. It's called Power Man, but it's also called Timeless. Is it a timeless book? Is it a miniseries? What is it? What is it connected to? Is it connected to that book that came out a year ago with Power Man in it called Timeless? Wow, that was like a year ago. How are you going to get on board? Like, there's a lot of problems with that. So they only order X amount of copies of that number one, which means that when people go to that store, they maybe don't see that book. That book might not be on their shelves. So then there's no real chance to get a second issue, a third issue, a fourth issue, whatever. So if you only get pre-orders for a certain number at that number, you can project ahead. You can look into those sales numbers and be like, I'm not going to make money by the time we hit issue 4. We're going to be hemorrhaging money. So then we get the call that says, hey, your 5-issue miniseries is now a 4-issue miniseries. You have to rewrite the ending and you have to remake this book so that you can have the book come out in the way that it is. because that's just how sales work, right? And that's just how markets work. That's how it functions.
Mhm.
The Power Man Timeless trade paperback isn't even on solicit yet. Like, if you wanted to order it right now, I think you can order it, but you certainly couldn't order it when the first book came out. So you can't count those sales against the decision they've already made, right? They've already made the decision months ago, and now they can get these numbers on the trade paperback. And maybe in retrospect, that makes them go, huh, maybe this thing had legs. But by that point, it's far too late. They've already canceled the book. They've already moved. The whole team's moved on. Stories already written. Stories already done. So, do I wish trade paperback sales counted against that stuff? Of course I do, man. Our books are written for the trade. That would rip. But that's just not how the industry works. The industry is a single issue pre-order industry. That is where our success lies. And so, and that's why, again, I think to give Marvel and DC their flowers, the Ultimate line, the Absolute line are doing this right. They're making great single issue comic books that anybody can get. They're selling them everywhere. And they're really pushing this idea that, hey, do you want to just get on board comics but never knew where to start? Grab Absolute Batman. Do you love Twin Peaks? Grab Absolute Martian Manhunter. Do you love like that idea? Do you love the idea of a Wonder Woman comic, but you've never read a Wonder Woman comic? Get Absolute Wonder Woman. Do you like the idea of the Avengers fighting against the evil powers of the world, but you don't want to start with 100 years of Avengers comics? Grab Ultimates, right? These onboarding moments, these are important. They're things that should exist for a wider fan base that does exist. Like, these are popular characters on a massive international scale, and yet the books that they come from and that make their main continuities function are probably their lowest selling asset. They probably sell less than their action figures, than their movies, than their theme parks, than their pajamas, than their, like everything. Their bed sheets, like everything else probably sells better than the comics do. And I think that's just because like the comics are weighted with history and responsibility in a marketplace that was born for the 1940s, not for.
But up until very
2020s.
recently, those onboarding points kind of flopped on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
To be fair.
No,
everybody's always kind of apprehensive. That's why DC's famously don't call it a rebrand. Don't call it, famously. So
very much.
I'm glad the Absolute worked out though, because I love every one of those books.
Yeah,
they're great books, and it's aligned with vision behind it, and you can really see it.
And outside of like the comic world, they really don't advertise the comics and stuff, because I know when my family and I went to see the Thunderbolts movie, there was a commercial, in the trailers for like a mobile game, but I'm like, why aren't they promoting the comics?
Pretty wild, huh?
What a great question.
I'm like, there's a
again, we're gonna have that powwow. We're gonna give them a plan to take back to DC and Marvel.
Yeah, fold that into your plan, and we'll talk next time. I do unfortunately have to run. My wife is home. My cat needs to get fed. But thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. You guys are always such a great conversation.
Anytime.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. All right, Lil, take the notes. We'll come up with our plan.
I love it. All right, I'm gonna bounce. Thank you so much for having us, guys.
My baby's screaming just off screen. Fucking fun conversation though. How weird. Not
the real baby.
Yeah, the real human baby.
The skin baby.
Skin baby.
Don't say that.
I know. Anyway, ciao guys. Thank you.
Ciao.
I don't know. That's kind of scary. Kristen, the one with the black cats, talking about, oh yeah, I've studied necromancy. Yeah.
That's all people with black cats should have.
I guess, yeah. All right.
Black cats are good luck, though.
Yes. See, that's a good conversation, because like we couldn't break off. We're like, hey, one more thing. All right.
Let's see how the sausage is made. One more thing.
Hey, all right. Let's get out of here. All right. But they may not be able to announce any of their projects, but we're whores. All right. So yes.
Everybody here except for me always has plenty of projects.
If you want to send thoughts, questions, if you're another creator, again, I'm always looking for interviews. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find us on pretty much all social media platforms. You can buy our merch on TeePublic and Spring. And again, Lilith Hellfire strongly demands that you rain random money on us through the Cash App link.
It's a gentle suggestion.
Yeah, sure. And of course, you can always catch if you want more, if you want to support us and get more content, subscribe to the Patreon. You get at least one exclusive episode every month. And the episode for May was the Drunken Justin unboxing video. So
Still taking suggestions for June, so
oh, you don't want to do that Friday the 13th, Justin?
Oh, we're doing that? Okay, never mind.
Well, he said
Scratch that. Taking suggestions for July.
We might have to pull the trigger on that sometime in the first half of June, though, Lil, because if we want to
Like
drop
ASAP, yeah.
there's a Friday the 13th in June. That's why he was like,
yeah.
So, but yeah, right now, Drunken Justin unboxing video. It's very entertaining. Again,
What's the unboxing?
Comics. He got new comics, but he was all under the influence.
Wouldn't you like to know, Kristen?
Guess I'll have to pay to find out.
Which gave us like 9 new Justin drops. So yes.
I figured that I would give you guys a peek. We're not gonna mince words, are we?
All right. So yes, subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/CapesandLunatics.
More vicious and brutal than ever.
All right. And of course, Lilith has nothing, wants nothing to do with you people, so leave her alone.
I just want you to touch grass. It's very important in this day and age that everybody go outside and touch grass and get offline for just at least an hour. Please, I beg of
You know
you.
what
Y'all
people
got
should
brain
be
rot.
doing? Reading.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's many
I don't
words.
care if it's a magazine. Just read something.
That's what I said. I don't care what
Get
you
a
read.
wrinkle in that gray matter, please.
I don't care if you read the back of a cereal box, but people should be reading more.
They should be reading comics.
And speaking of reading,
And what a
There's
great
no-
book.
they should go on Amazon, yes, and pick up Dick Grayson Boy Wonder. If you wanna-
Segue. I would like to say, per our discussion, that I do get royalties for both the physical and ebook version.
Oh, well, isn't she not an adjunct professor? All right. Woo.
I was, but now I'm a real professor.
Thank you for saying that when they're gone. All right. Oh, I'll do the intro. Yeah, at the end since all right, kids.
Feels like I worked on this, and damn it, you're gonna watch it.
Oh, Kristen can do the ampersand this time. Yeah. Woo.
All right, you got a lot to live up to. Justin does it real good.
All right, kids. All right, kids. Thank you for joining us for another week. We have been your Capes.
Ampersand.
Lunatics.
Yeah. Yeah, this intro wasn't as easy as you think it was. So, yeah, damn it, people are going to watch it. Especially after I had one done, and then Will's like, I need bigger boobs on my
Naked Power Girl.
Maybe that's what'll save the industry. I don't know.
Wait, Lilith, who is in the picture? That's your name.
That is Power Girl.
Oh, okay. In the bikini. All right. Yeah.
But yeah, kids, remember the important lesson tonight. Go buy physical comics. You want to help support your favorite creators. Buy physical floppies.
We're ending on floppies.
I think it's on brand.